So SAKTK is my favourite Roblox game of all time. I think that's fairly obvious with one look at my channel. However, unfortunately, even with my love for SAKTK being above every other game I've played in my entire life before, it still has some major problems, and major problems I want to talk about in this video. Now, like I just said, SAKTK is my favourite Roblox game of all time. I mean, I absolutely adore it. It's unlike anything else on Roblox before, and I'm not mad at the developers or anything, like they do a great job with all of the updates. Now, the reason I'm making this video is not for what you might think. I mean, why would I ever hate on a game for no reason? No, the purpose of this video now existing is that I've been hearing a lot of complaints from the SAKTK community recently about the recent management of the game. From the disappointment behind Shadow Home Up, rest in peace, the absence of infection mode, rest in peace also, and the lack of updates over the past few months, I think it's about time I give my actual thoughts on this game I praise so much and throw everything you've ever loved about SAKTK down the toilet. Of course, remember that everything said in this video is purely my opinion. Yes, subjectively, you are allowed to think that these are not problems within SAKTK, and I'm not going to go out of my way to stop you and interfere with your experience playing SAKTK. Wait, hold on, that is what I'm doing. Also, please remember that game development is hard. I mean, looking through entire mountains and mountains of codes and scripts to find a single problem is not easy, and it takes a lot of time. And by this video being released, I don't expect every single problem in this video to be fixed. I mean, some of them, you'd argue, wouldn't even be problems. I mean, it's kind of just my opinion. Yeah. Well, unless you're the developer of a Roblox game known as Murder Mystery 2, you reskin an already existing weapon, shove it behind a very expensive paywall, and call it a new update. Why haven't I made a video on this game yet? Oh wait, I know why. But this video isn't about Murder Mystery 2, it's about SAKTK. And specifically, let's start with Classic Mode. Can't remember the last time I stepped into Classic Mode. Now I know what you're thinking. Ash, what's wrong with Classic Mode? And I hear you, Classic Mode is great. Or as in, it used to be great. You see, as the updates have gone by, Classic Mode, I don't know, has kinda become irrelevant. Sure, the mode is super nostalgic since it was the first mode in SAKTK ever, clues in the title by the way, and the mode eases new players into the game pretty well, but it still has a lot of problems. I think the main issue with Classic Mode is just its replayability. I mean, once you have all the case files, achievements, there's nothing else to do besides, I don't know, grinding kills. And I mean, grinding kills is fine. I mean, if you want about a couple of hours doing the same thing over and over, go ahead, I'm not gonna stop you. But that shouldn't be the only thing Classic Mode has to offer. What other Roblox Area 51 games like Sire and dare I say Heroes Area 51 have tried doing, it's integrating events within the Classic Mode formula. Basically every 180 seconds or so, a new event will spawn where you can either jump through a portal or get forcefully teleported to a special area to try and complete some sort of challenge to get a special gun or a few extra points. And while this definitely works for Area 51 games that pride themselves off of having lots of content while also having a new map, I don't think this type of thing would work very well within SAKTK. What I think Classic Mode desperately needs is some kind of collection feature. Heck, the whole game needs a collection feature. Maybe if you, I don't know, beat the Area 51 personnel 3 times in a row without dying, get like a special gun skin or something. I mean, weapon skins have been teased like 5 times over like the past 2 years, and yet they still aren't in the game. That's fun. Something else I feel like Classic Mode could benefit from would be buffing all of the killers within the mode, or at the very least increasing their health. All of the killers in Classic Mode literally have 1 HP. No, I'm not joking, they all die in 1 hit. No matter the weapon or if it's Pack-a-Punched or not. When, I don't know, does it have to be this way? Like, again, I get it, you're trying to make the game easier for new players, but all it really takes is for one person to whip out their M1911 and the whole server is saved. Back in my day, sure, the killers literally always camped the spawn and killed the survivors over and over and over again, but we're kind of past that point now. The average SAKTK noob have more brain cells than the most sane Genshin Impact player. But even if Classic Mode is sorta balanced and is just kind of boring, the same can't be said for Killer Mode. Oh yeah, we're going there. Where do I even begin here? Killer Mode is it's just awful. Well, I think the first thing we can talk about is how unbalanced this mode is. And not unbalanced as in a couple of guns do a bit too much damage to the killers like you'd expect. No, unbalanced as in even being on the killer team is a guaranteed death sentence. If you've ever even stepped foot into a Killer Mode server before, you know how ridiculously weak the killers are. I mean, they have so little health that any Pack-a-Punch weapon can pretty much instantly kill them. Like the Pack-a-Punch ARP, SVD, and even the ray gun's like a 2-shot. I mean, it doesn't even come down to skill anymore. You just kind of have to pray that the server you join is just full of kids who smash their keyboard for their usernames and have no idea where the guns are. Now of course there are some semi-powerful killers like Wendigo and Alien, but you either have to be really strategic or really lucky if you want kills with them, especially against Game Pass users, and oh boy do I hate Game Pass users. And even if you do kill any of the survivors with Game Passes, they'll just respawn at full health with all of their weapons again, solving none of your problems. And keep in mind, this is assuming that you have the Killer Choice Game Pass. Without it, who's to stop you getting spawn killed as Michael Myers over and over? I think in order to fix killer mode, the killers need a huge buff to their speed and health, perhaps similar health and speed to that of the Juggernaut. The only real way to survive as a killer on killer mode is to wait around corners as Alien, or take a risk as Wendigo and rush the survivors when they least expect it. And even then, it's easier for the survivors to just move out of the way, no problem. Oh, and did I mention like half of the survivors leave after they become killers? Yep, it really happens. Making all of the killers at least as fast as the survivors will allow killers such as Leatherface, a killer with an insane amount of damage on Juggernaut, to enter the meta so that new players won't be burned alive instantly. Although I think Michael Myers will always be a bad killer, just don't play as Michael Myers, okay? But even with all of those killer buffs out of the way, I don't think it's enough to actually fix killer mode. So, sorry Game Pass users, gonna have to ruin Christmas for you a bit here. I mean, why don't you guys just grind on classic mode? It's way easier to grind kills in the long run. Why do you have to ruin people's day? Oh wait, I remember why, because your dad left to get the milk. Firstly, Survivor Game Passes in this mode need a huge nerf, most notably the VIP and MG42 Game Passes. For survivors at the moment, both of these passes basically cancel out any negative to dying. For example, if you somehow die in kill mode while you have one or both of these game passes, and I mean somehow, because my goodness, if you die as a survivor in kill mode, you have a massive skill issue. You could just respawn with all of the guns immediately, and can go right back to ray gun spamming. In fact, it might just be a good idea to outright disable these game passes in kill mode entirely. Also, Pack-a-Punch weapons are incredibly OP for survivors at the moment. Like, if someone gets a Pack-a-Punch ray gun or even a DB shotgun, they will just dominate the entire round no problem. I don't think the Pack-a-Punch machine should be removed, as some people have suggested in the past. Every player should just be limited to one Pack-a-Punch weapon each. Would balance it out a little bit. And there we go, we have fixed killer mode. Goodness, this mode was unbalanced. I mean, Jesus Christ, there's just so much wrong with this mode that it's honestly insane. Like, I actually didn't think I could do it, but there you go. Homer, add all that stuff to the game. I know I said at the start of the video that, you know, you didn't have to add this stuff, but I think killer mode needs to be fixed. Out of all of the modes here, killer mode is just, it's just unplayable. But anyway, on to our next mode. I promise this one is just a bit more playable. Endless survival, endless survival. Honestly, we might have found our first mode where there isn't anything necessarily wrong or broken with it. I feel like Endless suffers from a similar fate to classic mode though, and that is once you have all of the badges, there's nothing else to do besides to get to round 400 or something. Or, you know, break the game. I get that the entire Endless survival mode is a direct knockoff of Call of Duty Zombies, but maybe adding more unique events into the game could make it more interesting. Like, yes, we already have the Hellhound round, but maybe add some other special round, like, I don't know, maybe like a Blackout round where the map turns extremely dark, just like Extreme Classic mode, the generator goes offline, so you have to turn it back on, or maybe the killers become super slow. I don't know, I just came up with that just now. But yeah, Endless is just that mode where it's just kind of reaching the highest round possible, and then you never touch it again. Or, you know, it is just essentially endless kills over and over and over again until the end of time. Or at least until the game shuts down in the year 2029. Homer, please don't shut down the game, I need money. Moving on to Boss Rush mode, the next mode on our list, and this one's pretty easy to fix. Even you can do it yourself. In fact, I'll give you a little tutorial. All you need to do is take a screenshot of the Boss Rush menu, good job. Now drag that same screenshot into Photoshop, nice work. Get the pen tool and scribble out aberration. And there you have it. Boss Rush mode is fixed. All jokes aside though, Boss Rush is again one of those modes where you just play it, get the case files, play it, get the badges, and then never touch it again. Unless you're like a content creator like me, like my aberration kill counts at like 60 something at this point. You know, but you know, most of you probably aren't content creators and you've probably only beaten the bosses once. And honestly, I'm really not sure what could be done to Boss Rush to make the game more replayable. Although, while I'm here, I could give some ideas on how the existing bosses within SAKTK could at least be improved. I think the Kraken fight is okay, although I feel like sometimes it overstays its welcome a bit too long for my liking. Maybe lower his health a little bit, other than that, is fine. But then there's Aberration. Like I just hinted about, I'm not too big of a fan of her fight. I think her elite form is fine, although she just kind of spams the pills anytime she wants to, but her normal form is stupid easy besides her laser attack. In fact, her laser attack is the only threatening thing about Aberration, period. Either buff Aberration's other attacks or nerf the laser. I don't know, just pick one. But having one powerful attack while the rest just kind of deal minor damage to the player is super inconsistent. Just saying. And that's really about it with Boss Rush. Yep, not too much to talk about at the moment. you know, it just kind of has 2 bosses at the moment, and that's it. Like, when we have 10 bosses in the mode, you know, we'll have 10 elite bosses, 10 normal bosses. There'll be a lot of replayability to be had. But I think it's about time we move on to the elephant in the room. Killer Mode's deformed twin cousin, Juggernaut Mode. But although this mode isn't horribly unbalanced as Killer Mode, like I just said, and it is my favourite mode in SAKTK ever, it still has a couple of issues that I really need to point out about it. Of course, for starters, the Juggernaut, you guessed it again, is super unbalanced compared to the survivors. Man, what is it with killers in this game being super weak? My god. I think in smaller servers, like with less than 6 players, Juggernauts have the health count balanced for the most part. If you don't know, then basically the Juggernaut's health scales with the amount of players in the server. It's how the game keeps the balance, or at least attempts to keep the balance. You see, in larger servers, Juggernauts just don't have enough health to stay alive. No, the health they do have is pathetically low. And it's not just the Juggernaut's health either. Certain killers on Juggernaut are completely useless and are not worth picking at all if you have the Killer Choice Game Pass. Like, why would you not always pick a killer like Captain Zombie, a Juggernaut with a high amount of melee damage and also summons super buff zombie minions with a ton of health and move at the speed of sound? Oh, what's that? Sonic XC is your favorite killer? Too bad he sucks, he literally does no damage. Like, I get it, different killers have different stats, like different damage, different speeds, although I don't think... Well, okay, maybe Sonic has different speeds to every other killer, and different hitbox sizes. I mean, have you seen the size of Rake's hitbox? It's almost as big as your mum. And nothing's bigger than your mum. What I'm suggesting here is that different killers should have different health amounts. Take Leatherface for example, the only killer in the game that in my opinion is at least on the road to somewhat being balanced. The health amount for that guy is fine, mixed with the damage he outputs if you just kind of want to charge in and kill everyone really easily, just use Leatherface, he's a god. But what about Pennywise? A killer that does basically no damage and dies really fast. Well, why not give him a health boost, instead of having to buff his damage across all of the modes? And maybe making it so you have to press F to throw his knife, because my goodness, this killer is just unplayable. Okay, maybe just reset if you become Pennywise, maybe just do that. Now obviously the health boost wouldn't need to be massive. I think the maximum amount of health a Juggernaut can have at the moment is like 1,800 or something like that, so I guess maybe a health boost could be around 2,500. I'm not sure, making that up on the spot by the way. And you know, some killers would also need a damage buff. Fishface is looking at you, you suck. But even symbol guns like the P90 and MG42 can still absolutely destroy killers, even as strong as Leatherface if you're locked into a 1v1. And don't even get me started on the ray gun. Like, that thing was not made for this mode at all. And these guns aren't rare either. Like, on average, I find the ray gun or even a super strong weapon like the SVD or double barrel shotgun like every other round. Like, these things are common. Although even with those changes to the Juggernaut's health and damage, there is one last item that survivors have that more often or not decides games on its own. And of course, we're talking about the energy drink. Yeah, this thing again. Stupid piece of aluminium. Or aluminum, what you Americans call aluminum. That just sounds stupid. Now, the energy drink has a history of being broken on Juggernaut, and you might notice that it works a bit differently on this mode to any other mode. Now, yes, I definitely believe that the energy drink is less broken of an item than it used to be, don't get me wrong, but it is still an insanely powerful game pass that pushes the survivors heavily in their favor over the Juggernaut. If the Juggernaut ends up dealing a great deal of damage to you, you can pretty much just negate all of that with the energy drink and you'll be back at the full health almost instantly. This is ridiculously powerful in 1v1 situations, and has won me many games unfairly in the past, that it just kind of makes me feel bad for the hundreds of Juggernauts I've ruined their rounds for this thing at this point. What I'm proposing here is that the energy drink over here should be nerfed. Not removed, nerfed. To be one sip only. I mean, the only reason you're supposed to use an energy drink is when you're on like 1 HP in like a 1v1 or something. And even then, you're not really supposed to 1v1 in Juggernaut because, you know, it's like a team-focused game mode. And of course, some other changes will have to be made, like, you know, Juggernaut's camping in like the radioactive area or in the elevators. Please don't do that, by the way. You know, unless you got Pennywise out, like Killer Choice. Then you have my full permission. I feel like this change would enable Juggernauts to actually have a chance of winning, instead of being blown to smithereens instantly by a crowd of energy drink spammers as soon as they get into the game. Obviously they wouldn't win every single round because some Juggernauts are, well, they're stupid. Just need to find the balance, you know. And there you go! Juggernaut mode is fixed, for the most part. Now what mode is next? Oh yeah, I'm just gonna kind of put Area 51 Storming and Kill House into this last category together because nobody really cares about them, and because we're running out of time before the ray gun spammer police bust down my front door and take my family away from me. They're on their way now. But seriously though, who's actually playing Kill House and saying, wow, I'm having a whale of a time improving my target practice, even though I can't do that in, you know, classic mode or killer mode
or Endless mode, or Juggernaut mode, or any of the other modes, because, my goodness, shooting down, you know, like, targets that are just sitting there and not walking towards you is very effective. I'm sorry, I don't like Kill House, okay? It just had no reason to exist besides, you know, the crossbow and, you know, getting the pistol in classic mode. And even then, no one really cares about the crossbow anyway.
Speaking of Kill House, let's start here. I think the main issue with Kill House is that it's just kind of empty. Like, there are things to do, don't get me wrong, you know, parkour, target practice, and, target practice. You see what I mean? There just needs to be more ways you can train in Kill House. Perhaps something related to Juggernaut, maybe? Because that's the only mode people care about nowadays, and Endless as well. Yeah, it's something related to Endless, I don't know. And now on to Area 51 Storming, another mode I'm sure many of you have played just once and never touched again. I mean, it is a story game, so you can't really blame the developers on this one. I mean, how many of you actually replay story games? I think something that will make Storming at least worthwhile replaying is having an alternate ending of some sort. I don't know what this ending could be though, since I'm not even sure how that would work given the context of Storming and how it's a teamwork focused game mode. I don't know, might bring a few people back, who knows? Yep, that's the best I've got, I'm sorry.
And there we go. We have fixed every single SAKTK mode. I mean, wow, it's like the first time I've ever talked about killer mode being broken on this channel before. I can't believe that. But, you know, that's probably what you clicked on the video for, and if you didn't, well, now you know how much I hate this game. I don't actually hate the game. You know what? What I should have said at the start of the video, I like SAKTK. I never wanted a bad SAKTK update, you know. SAKTK's great. It's my favorite Roblox game ever. But that doesn't mean it's perfect. In fact, no game is perfect. There is not a single game on this planet Earth, besides maybe Terraria. Terraria's perfect. That is perfect. You know, every game's gonna have flaws, every game's gonna have problems. Again, should have said this at the start of the video, whoops. But you know, as I watched the chaos of this video unfold and me getting banned from SAKTK probably by Homer for all of these criticisms on the game, you know, I'm just gonna sit here, you know, drink this totally real and not fake Raw energy drink, because it is 100% real and not fake. You know, That may be a real energy drink, but Jesus, that is disgusting. That's gross. Yeah, I'm done. No, I didn't even like the energy drink anymore.